Now solved. And it's so much more ugly and more psychotic than any of us could have possibly envisioned. Essentially, she got caught filing a sham law.
Blake Lively has been arrested. Yes, you read that right. The internet is in absolute disbelief after explosive reports claim that the Gossip Girl star was taken into custody for allegedly lying to the court. A police chief has now broken his silence, and what he revealed has completely flipped the situation upside down. According to these reports, Blake allegedly filed a sham lawsuit as a strategic cover to mislead the court, and the judge is said to be anything but pleased. The revelation has sent fans into a frenzy, with many now questioning everything Blake has ever claimed publicly. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni might be the one who ends up having the final say as the case takes a dramatic turn. So what exactly happened behind the scenes, and what is the real truth behind this so-called sham lawsuit? Over the weekend, it was revealed that Blake had filed a highly suspicious lawsuit right before publicly accusing Justin of mistreatment. That single discovery has now reshaped the entire direction of the case, leaving both the public and the industry stunned.
In the New York Times, the PR firms, Brian Friedman must be having an absolute field.
According to newly surfaced reports, the lawsuit in question was quietly filed back in September, with Blake Lively's company, Van Zen, listed as the official plaintiff. The alleged objective? To subpoena supposedly incriminating text messages from Justin Baldoni's former PR team without attaching Blake's own name to any of the paperwork. Justin's ex-publicist, Stephanie Jones, along with her firm JonesWorks, was reportedly served with a subpoena issued by New York attorney Samantha Kotza, demanding all communications and documents involving Baldoni, Lively, and Ryan Reynolds. The request wasn't small. It covered emails, texts, documents, and any exchanges that could shed light on the behind-the-scenes drama. Even more shocking, court filings reportedly claimed that up to 10 individuals had played a role in harming the plaintiff's business interests and reputation. With accusations this broad and secretive, observers are left wondering what Blake was truly trying to uncover or conceal.
And Jones Work PR, which is run by Stephanie Jones, she's the Coffee and Adderall is Life woman, okay, is doing the PR for Wayfarer Studios. That's Justin Baldoni, Steve Sarowitz. She is doing, her firm is doing the PR for this film. But she's not personally managing that PR. She has someone under her named Jennifer Abel, who you see there, and she is dealing with this quote-unquote smaller account. And by smaller account, I mean that while Stephanie Jones is out flying around with Jeff Bezos and his soon-to-be wife, Jennifer Abel is dealing with this little baby account that only earns them $20K a month for the firm. Jennifer Abel decides that she wants to leave this firm and she wants to start her own firm. Justin Baldoni and Steve Sarowitz are like, we are going with you if you're going independent because you're the only one we even know at this firm, and we're happy to stay your little account. And Stephanie Jones is like, nah, that is not happening. I am Stephanie Jones. I'm married to a bigwig over at WME. No one leaves Stephanie. I mean, we're talking like toxic relationship with your employer.
While Stephanie Jones eventually turned over private messages between former staffer Jennifer Abel, who worked with Justin Baldoni, and PR crisis manager Melissa Nathan, the fallout was enormous. Blake Lively reportedly leaned heavily on these texts to support her smear campaign allegations back in August 2024, using them as proof that Justin's team had plotted against her. According to reports, the messages pulled from a device Jones surrendered to the attorney allegedly showed Abel and Nathan discussing coordinated plans aimed at Blake, with one chilling text from Nathan stating, "We can bury anyone." These very exchanges were later spotlighted in a major New York Times expose in December 2024, adding fuel to an already explosive situation. Yet the most suspicious twist came shortly after. The lawsuit that allowed Blake access to this material was quietly withdrawn on December 19, 2024, just days before she filed her official mistreatment complaint against Baldoni with the California Civil Rights Department. Fans immediately questioned the timing, calling it highly calculated and conveniently aligned. Attorney Ron Zamrin publicly criticized the maneuver as super shady, insisting it was carried out deliberately and in total secrecy. Baldoni's lawyer, Brian Friedman, echoed the same concerns, suggesting that the entire operation was far more strategic than it appeared. For anyone just catching up, here's a quick breakdown of the key players involved in this case. Each person has their own role in how the drama unfolded. Some are directly tied to the legal claims, while others became involved through leaked messages, PR strategies, or their personal connections. Together, they formed the complicated web of accusations, alliances, and fallout that has turned the situation into a full-scale scandal. Friedman argued that Blake and Ryan Reynolds' company, Vanzen, had no legitimate role in the lawsuit and knew it, claiming the entire filing was a tactical move to obtain subpoena power without proper oversight. According to him, this strategy effectively blocked his clients from challenging the process and amounted to filing a fictitious lawsuit in bad faith, an outright abuse of the legal system. Blake's team, however, pushed back through media outlets. Attorneys Ezra Hudson and Mike Goddell told Deadline that the case was a lawful, well-structured investigation that relied on standard civil subpoenas to identify unknown actors involved in unlawful behavior. They insisted the revealed messages simply outlined a documented plan by the Wayfair side to target Blake, and that Lively had voluntarily disclosed the subpoena in her own filing, knowing it would surface during discovery. Still, fans weren't convinced. Abel openly stated that she and Nathan had prepared for the lawsuit. It's our job to be ready for any scenario, but admitted they never needed to act because the internet was doing the work for us, a comment later removed from Facebook. Adding to the confusion with how Stephanie Jones initially acquired and delivered the evidence to Blake, a detail that deepened public suspicion. With each revelation, however, the timeline has become clearer. The New York Times report, the incriminating texts, and the questionable chain of evidence have all shaped a narrative that continues to raise more doubts than answers. The timing of the lawsuit's withdrawal adds yet another layer to an already tangled situation, suggesting a pattern of strategic legal maneuvering that raises questions about ethics, intent, and the lengths each side was willing to go to protect or damage someone's reputation. This entire sequence explains why so many fans remain skeptical of Blake's lengthy explanations. The mix of secretive subpoenas, carefully curated evidence, and highly coordinated legal steps points to an unusually aggressive approach, one that has significantly reshaped how the public now views the case.
Piece of what Stephanie Jones was saying, that she was complying with a...
And now everything begins to fall into place. One of the most striking details is that the Vanzen lawsuit, filed on Blake Lively's behalf, never once mentioned Blake or her husband Ryan Reynolds in the official court documents, almost as if the goal was to keep their names completely off the record. But that's only the surface. As fans dug deeper, they realized the legal team behind the filing had a pattern of using similar tactics in past cases. The lawsuit itself was handled by partners at ML Management, the registered agent for Blake's company. For context, ML Management is a CPA firm that oversees annual filings, tax matters, business administration, and payment processing for its celebrity clients, a roster that has included stars like Eddie Murphy, Chris Rock, and Ryan Reynolds. Understanding the role of a registered agent is crucial. This individual or entity is responsible for receiving legal documents, managing compliance paperwork, and acting as the official point of contact, making them the perfect buffer between a client and a controversial filing. A registered agent's job is straightforward. They receive official legal documents on behalf of a business, lawsuits, notices, tax papers, handling the administrative side without ever participating in the legal strategy itself. But another major red flag emerged. The Vanzen lawsuit didn't name a single real person suspected of wrongdoing. Instead, it listed a long chain of Jane Does. While Doe defendants can be used to add parties later in a case, it's extremely uncommon to file a lawsuit with no identifiable defendants at all, which is exactly what happened here. Fans also discovered that the lawsuit is nowhere to be found in the records of the Supreme Court of the state of New York, where it was supposedly filed. The reason? The subpoena was written so vaguely that it never requested judicial notice, and no judge was ever assigned. To many, this looked intentional, a way to prevent the public from accessing the details. When you combine the missing plaintiff names, the reliance on anonymous Doe defendants, and the lack of proper judicial oversight, it paints a clear picture. The lawsuit was crafted to give Blake and her team subpoena power, while keeping their identities and involvement concealed. And that secrecy raises serious questions about transparency, intent, and what they were really trying to accomplish. This approach also calls the legality of their strategy into question. Fans tracking the case now interpret it as a deliberate attempt to manipulate the legal process, further supporting the view that the Vanson lawsuit was anything but ordinary. It appears carefully designed to operate under the radar, giving Blake and her team power and access, while keeping their involvement hidden from public scrutiny.
Work backwards to legitimize something that they likely stole. So I'm going to read you directly from this sham lawsuit. It writes, it accuses the 10 Jane Does of, quote, they have participated and may continue to participate in efforts to harm plaintiff, including by failing to act in plaintiff's best interests, taking actions to their personal benefit at plaintiff's expense, failing to freely communicate with plaintiff regarding matters that impact plaintiff's business and reputation, and disclosing to third parties, and failing to keep strictly confidential plaintiff's confidential and or private information. This is just words. Like Samantha Katz, okay, was just typing.
But why would Blake and the firm go to such lengths? The answer lies in Jessica's final days at the company. Just before she resigned, she was called into Stephanie's office and pressured into handing over her devices. This is how Stephanie gained access to the sensitive information that would later play a central role in the case.
I think it was the CEO there. She's got security and she's like, we need your phone because we have a subpoena that we're complying with. And we're taking your personal phone. Jennifer Abel's crying. She's like, I've had this phone number since high school. What do you mean? It has all my pictures, my Facebook, everything. And she's like, nah, hand over your phone right now. It's going down like this.
The most surprising element is that this wasn't a scheme Blake, her company, or Stephanie could have pulled off alone. That's where the LLC enters the story. By taking Jessica's phone without proper justification, Blake, her team, and everyone involved ended up creating even greater legal and reputational fallout than they likely anticipated.